The morning sun cast a golden glow over the walls of the Ade mansion. Inside, Chief Fullerin Ade adjusted his blue native attire as he prepared for another day at his telecommunications company. At 55, he carried himself with the dignified air of a man who had worked his way up from humble beginnings to become one of Lagos' most respected business leaders. "Fullerin, my love," called his wife Adesewa, her voice carrying from their spacious kitchen. "Come and eat before you leave." The sound of his wife's voice still made him smile, even after 25 years of marriage. Adesewa, at 48, remained as beautiful as the day he met her at the university. Her hair was styled in neat cornrows, and her yellow lace dress complemented her smooth skin. Their 3 children were already at the dining table. Jennifer, their 22-year-old daughter who was in her final year studying medicine at the university. Jude, their 19-year-old son who was also in the university, and Janny, their 15-year-old daughter who was in secondary school. "Daddy, please tell Jude to stop finishing all the bread," Janny complained, throwing a playful glare at her brother. "You're just too slow, small girl," Jude teased, reaching for another slice. Fullerin watched his children's friendly banter with pride. This was what he had worked so hard for, not just the mansion or the cars in the garage, but the joy of having a family bound by love. A weak cough from the kitchen doorway interrupted their breakfast. Mama Grace, their elderly housekeeper of 18 years, stood there looking pale and tired. She had been more than just a house help, she was family, having helped raise all 3 children. "Chief, madam," she said, her voice barely above a whisper. "I need to speak with you both." Adesewa immediately went to the old woman's side, helping her to a chair. "Mama Grace, you're burning up with fever again." "Yes, madam. The doctor says I need proper rest." Mama Grace's hands trembled as she reached into her wrapper pocket and pulled out a photograph. "But I don't want to leave you without help. This is my daughter, Grace. She is 24 and very hardworking. She can take my place while I recover." Fullerin studied the photograph of a beautiful young woman with bright eyes and a gentle smile. "Of course, Mama Grace. Your daughter is welcome here. Your health is most important, we'll pay for your treatment." "God will bless you, Chief," Mama Grace said, tears in her eyes. "Grace will start tomorrow." Grace stood before the massive gates of the Ade mansion, her heart pounding. She had heard stories about this place from her mother, but seeing it in person made her stomach twist with envy. The security guard, Maxwell, recognized her from her mother's description and let her in. As she walked through the compound, she thought about the apartment she shared with her mother. Here, even the garden was bigger than their entire apartment. Inside, she found the family finishing breakfast. The scene before her was like something from the American movies. The happy father reading his newspaper, the elegant mother arranging flowers, the children laughing and chatting about their plans for the day. "Ah, you must be Grace." Madam Adesewa's welcome was warm. "Your mother has told us so much about you. Welcome to our home." Grace smiled, bowing slightly. "Thank you, madam. I'm grateful for this opportunity. Come, let me show you around," Adesewa said, leading her through the house. Each room they passed made the knot in Grace's stomach tighter. The chandelier in the sitting room probably cost more than everything her mother owned. The kitchen had 3 refrigerators. The children each had their own bedroom with ensuite bathrooms and flat-screen TVs. "Your quarters will be here," Adesewa said, showing her to a comfortable room with air conditioning and a private bathroom. "We want you to be comfortable." "Thank you, madam." That evening, Grace called her friend Jessica, who worked as a hairdresser. "Jess, you need to see this house," she whispered into her phone. "These people are living like kings while my mother killed herself working for them for 18 years. "That's how life is, my friend," Jessica replied. "Some people born with golden spoon, others with wooden spoon." "It's not fair," Grace hissed. "Their last born is 15 but already attending better schools than I ever did. They even have 3 cars when my mother and I don't even own a motorcycle. I and my mom deserve a good life, we work so hard, why can't we be all right and have all good things of life?" Jessica was quiet for a moment. "You know. I know someone who can help you change your situation." "What do you mean?" "My aunt's friend, she knows powerful jazz. If you want something badly enough, she can help you get it." Grace told Jessica she didn't want to be involved in any fetish thing as it will go against her belief. The next few weeks Grace went on with her job cleaning and cooking diligently. On a fateful day the Ade family were in a mood of celebration because Jennifer passed her medical exams, and her dad got her a luxurious car that didn't sit in well with Grace. She wished to live their life so bad. In anger she called Jessica and informed her she was ready to take the bold step of seeing her auntie's friend. The next day, Grace asked for permission to go check on her mom, but she never went to see her mom. It was just an excuse to meet up with Jessica considering their previous discussions. The native doctor's compound was hidden behind tall palm trees and overgrown grass. Grace followed Jessica through a narrow path, her heart pounding against her ribs. The evening air was thick with the smell of herbs and burning incense. "Auntie Yu," Jessica called out. "I brought my friend I told you about." An elderly woman emerged from a small hut, her eyes sharp despite her aged appearance. She wore all white, with cowrie shells braided into her gray hair. Without speaking, she motioned them inside. Grace's Christian upbringing screamed at her to run, but the memory of the aide's wealth kept her in the spot. "I know why you're here," Auntie Yu said, her voice surprisingly deep. "You want what belongs to another." Grace swallowed hard. "I want a better life." "No," the old woman countered. "You want their life. There's a difference." She began pulling various items from her shelves. "The price is 50,000 naira. 50,000. Grace screamed. That was her 2-month salary from her previous job as a sales representative at a supermarket, before coming to work for the aide's family. "You want to control a millionaire?" Auntie Yu laughed. "You think that comes cheap?" After paying the money, Grace watched as the native doctor mixed different powders and liquids in a small black bottle. 3 drops in his morning tea for 7 days, the native doctor instructed. "But remember this, the spirits demand balance. You are to come renew the charm every 3 months. Whatever you steal must be repaid." For the first 3 days, nothing seemed to change. Chief Fullerin drank his morning tea as usual, went to work, and came home to his family. But on the 4th day, Grace noticed him staring at her as she served breakfast. "Grace," he said, his voice different somehow. "You look very beautiful today." Adesawa, who was also having her breakfast, froze but said nothing. Grace lowered her eyes, hiding a smile. By the end of the week, the change was dramatic. Chief Fullerin began finding fault with everything his wife did. The food was too salty. The house was too noisy. The children were too disrespectful. "Daddy, what's wrong?" Jennifer asked one evening when he shouted at her mother over slightly overcooked rice. "This isn't like you." "Keep quiet," he snapped. "You're all the same, taking me for granted while this young girl," he gestured to Grace, "is the only one who knows how to take care of a man properly." Adeswa watched her husband with tears in her eyes. "Fullerin, you're not yourself. Maybe you need to see a doctor." "What I need is peace," he thundered. "And I can't find it with you nagging me every minute." The children were shocked into silence. In all their years, they had never heard their father raise his voice at their mother. Late that night, Grace heard arguments from the master bedroom. Grace placed a call to her friend Jessica, informing her of the new developments and assuring her that things will get better for them soon. "Once he sends his family away, I will be the new madam of this house." "Jess, this jazz is really powerful. You need to see how Chief is treating his family like garbage now." The next morning, Chief Fullerin called a family meeting. "I want you all out of this house," he announced coldly. "I'm filing for divorce." "You can't be serious, Fullerin." Adesawa fell to her knees. "What has come over you? 25 years of marriage." "Out," he shouted. "Before I call the police." Jude stepped forward. "Dad, you can't do this to us. Watch me." Chief Fullerin turned to Grace. "Help them pack their things." As Grace helped the devastated family pack, Janny looked at her father with tears. "I hope you're happy now," the teenager said. That night, Grace moved into the master bedroom. The next few months were full of luxury for Grace. After taking over the aide's mansion, Grace underwent a drastic transformation. The humble house help's daughter now dressed up in the best wares and gold from Dubai. Her old phone was replaced with the latest iPhone, and she hired a personal driver for her new Mercedes-Benz GLE. Chief Fullerin bought Grace everything she asked for: designer clothes, hairs, shoes and jewelry. She turned the mansion into her personal paradise, throwing big parties for her friends and showing off online. But not everyone celebrated her rise. When she visited her mother to show off her new things, Mama Grace was sad and disappointed. "What have you done, my daughter?" the sick woman asked, refusing to touch the expensive gifts Grace brought for her. "I raised you better than this." "Mama, I did what I had to do to have a better life," Grace defended herself. Better life? By destroying another woman's marriage? By making children hate their father? Mama Grace coughed violently. "This is not success, Grace. This is wickedness. You don't understand, Mama. You've been poor for so long, you think suffering is a virtue. Get out," her mother said. "Don't come back until you've repented and made things right." Jessica watched all this transformation with growing bitterness. Her calls to Grace went straight to voicemail, and her messages were left unread. "Grace, I've been trying to reach you," Jessica said when she finally caught Grace shopping at a mall one afternoon. Grace looked around nervously, pretending not to recognize her old friend. Her new wealthy friends were nearby, and she didn't want them seeing her with a mere hairdresser. "Sorry, I've been very busy," Grace replied coldly, turning away. Busy? Too busy for the person who helped you get everything you have now. Jessica's voice rose slightly. "Please keep your voice down," Grace hissed. "What do you want?" "I need help with my rent." "Just 200,000 naira." Grace's face hardened. "I'm not an ATM machine. Besides, I don't associate with people of your level anymore. Know your place, my dear." As Grace walked away to join her rich friends, Jessica stood there, humiliation and anger burning in her chest. The same Grace who used to borrow her clothes for parties now couldn't be seen with her. After being humiliated by Grace at the mall, Jessica knew exactly what she had to do. She managed to locate Madame Adeswa, who was staying with her sister. "Good afternoon, Ma," Jessica greeted, bowing respectfully as Adeswa stepped out to talk to the young lady. "My name is Jessica. I have something important to tell you about your husband and Grace." Adeswa's hands shaking as she listened to Jessica's story. When Jessica played the voice notes of Grace bragging about the effect of love potion, tears rolled down Adeswa's face. "Oh my God!" Adeswa screamed, holding her chest. "So my husband was bewitched. My marriage of 25 years was destroyed by Jazz." "Yes, Ma. And that's not all." Jessica pulled out her phone, showing pictures of Grace's extravagant shopping and luxurious lifestyle on social media. "She's spending your husband's money like pure water. Grace was my best friend, but I can't watch her do this to your family. I can take you to the woman who gave Grace the love portion. I feel she can provide a solution." They both hurried out to the native doctor's place. When they got there, Jessica asked Auntie Yuyu for a solution that will reverse the love potion that Grace used on Chief Fullerin. The native doctor demanded for 200,000 naira. Mrs. Adeswa sent the money. The native doctor asked them to break the black bottle that was given to Grace. This will be the only way to reverse the spell. The next day, Mrs. Adeswa called the securityman Maxwell to explain everything to him and also ask for his assistance in getting Jessica into the house when Grace and Fullerin are out of the house. Maxwell agreed immediately because he really missed the kind Madame Adeswa and her kids and wanted them back. Now he barely feeds because Grace didn't provide him with food. She cared for just herself alone. The next day, when Mr. Fullerin left for work and Grace went on her usual shopping, Maxwell made a call to Madame Adeswa informing her they could come because they were both not around. Mrs. Adeswa and Jessica went to the mansion and Maxwell let them into the house. They searched the whole house for the black bottle. Jessica eventually found it hidden very carefully in a kitchen cabinet. She handed it over to Adeswa. They were both excited. Adeswa threw the bottle to the floor and it broke into pieces. Back at the office, Mr. Fullerin felt uneasy. After some minutes he packed up and started rushing home, only to meet the absence of his family. At that time, Adeswa and Jessica had already returned back to Adeswa's sister house to go get her kids. Adeswa arrived at her sister's house with a new fire in her eyes. "Call my children," she instructed her sister. "We're going home today." 2 hours later, a car pulled up at the Ade mansion. Adeswa, all her 3 children, and Jessica stepped out. They found Chief Fullerin about leaving the house in search of his family. Chief Fullerin was very happy to see his family, but he was also confused because he couldn't remember what happened to him. "Fullerin, look at me," Adesawa approached her husband. "Grace has been feeding you love potion. She went to a native doctor, she made you hate your family, and you even chased us away from our house. With the help of this young lady, Jessica, I got to find out the wicked plans of Grace to destroy our family." Jessica went ahead to show Chief Fullerin the voice notes revealing Grace's wicked plans on her phone. Chief Fullerin's face transformed as he listened. It was like scales falling from his eyes. He staggered, holding his head. As that was going on, Grace came in. "What are you doing in my house?" Grace demanded, but her voice was shaken when she saw Jessica. "Your house." Mrs. Adesawa's laugh was cold. "My dear, your reign of wickedness ends today." "Oh my God. What have I done to my family?" Fullerin felt so bad. "That's not all," Jessica continued, now facing Grace directly. "Tell them how you've been spending their money." "You're lying." Grace screamed, but her face had gone pale. Jennifer, the eldest daughter, stepped forward. "So you used charms on our father? You made him throw us out of our own home because of money." "It's not what you think." Grace started, but Jude cut her off. "Not what we think. You destroyed our family. You made our father hate us." Chief Fullerin had heard enough. He picked up his phone and dialed the police. "Hello. Yes, I want to report a case of..." He paused, looking at Grace with disgust. "Come and see what this witch has done to my family." Grace tried to make way to the stairs, but Jessica stuck out her foot, tripping her. The bag she was carrying spilled open, revealing bundles of dollars and jewelry. "Can you imagine?" Jessica said. "The same person you couldn't associate with in public is the one who exposed your wickedness. Next time, don't forget your old friends." The police arrived within minutes. As they handcuffed Grace, she looked at Jessica with tears of rage. "I thought you were my friend," she cried. "Friend?" Jessica laughed. "Friends don't look down on friends. Friends don't forget friends. You see all these your designer clothes and hairs, not prison uniform you go wear now." Adesawa watched as the police led Grace away, then turned to her husband. Chief Fullerin was on his knees, crying. "My wife, my children, please forgive me," he sobbed. "I don't know what came over me." "It wasn't your fault," Adesawa helped him up. "The devil used that girl to try to destroy what God built, but he failed." That evening, as the Aids family began their journey of healing, Jessica sat in her small salon, smiling as she watched Grace's arrest video go viral on social media. "See what your life has turned into," she said. "No matter how far a lizard runs into the bush, its tail will always show that it's a lizard." Nonsense. After Grace's arrest made headlines, the story became a thing. Mothers warned their daughters about the dangers of desperate ambition. 5 years passed like a dream. The Aids family had not just survived their ordeal, they had become stronger. Chief Fullerin and Adesawa renewed their vows on their 30th anniversary. In prison, Grace's life was a far cry from her days of luxury. Her designer clothes were replaced with prison uniforms, her human hair gave way to low cut, and her soft hands grew tough from prison labor. But it was here, at her lowest point, that true change began. Mama Grace, though heartbroken by her daughter's actions, never abandoned her. Every month, the elderly woman would make the journey to the prison, always praying and giving her daughter words of wisdom. "My daughter," she would say, "sometimes God allows us to taste shame so we can appreciate dignity." The Ade family continued paying for Mama Grace's medical treatment regardless of what her daughter did. She recovered fully and they helped her get a proper apartment. Their children flourished. Jennifer completed her medical studies and opened a successful hospital. Jude, learning from the family's experience, started a background check company for domestic staff, which grew to serve most elite families. Janny, the youngest, was doing very well in the university. Jessica's salon transformed into a high-end beauty parlor, thanks to Madame Adesawa's patronage and recommendations. On the day of Grace's release, she found both her mother and Jessica waiting outside the prison gates. "Why?" she asked Jessica, tears in her eyes. "After everything." "Because forgiveness is free," Jessica replied. "But next time you're drinking champagne, remember the friend who used to share pure water with you." With her mother's savings and Jessica's help, Grace started a small cleaning company. This time, she built her success honestly, contract by contract, client by client. The end.
Thanks for watching. Please subscribe to this channel and hit the notification button for more entertaining stories. Share this video and keep the conversations coming. Please like, comment and share your opinions on the comment section. Keep enjoying our stories with your friends and families. We love you all.